So I was just made aware of this article from the New York Times. It says, in a topsy-turvy pandemic world, China offers its version of freedom. Surveillance and censorship bolster Beijing's uncompromising grip on power, but in a country's cities and streets, people have resumed normal lives. This whole article is just the writer saying how good China's authoritarian policies are, and that because China has these totalitarian and authoritarian policies, they engage in extreme censorship, extreme surveillance, their people are able to move freely because they handle the virus appropriately. That's all this article is. It's made by this writer, Lin Wan. Basically, she starts out saying that there's some person named Duncan Clark on a flight coming from Paris. This is when Paris went into the lockdown, their second national lockdown, and the country had nearly 50,000 infected and 100,000 infected in the U.S. So they're saying that this person had a sigh of relief and that in China there was only 25 reported cases. I do not believe the numbers coming out of China, nor should you. China has been lying this whole time. China has been lying about everything concerning this virus, how they've handled the virus. They lied to the world. And because they lied, multiple countries couldn't take their appropriate response to be able to get a curtail on the virus or strengthen their borders or whatever they needed to do, make sure they had PPE in place or anything like that so they could protect themselves, protect their citizenry, so on and so forth. So this person says China resembles what the normal was like in the pre-pandemic world. They had restaurants that are packed full. Now, mind you, this person is not talking about how China had multiple times, like for instance, this Chinese city, Longfang has gone into lockdown. Wuhan has gone into lockdown at multiple different stages over the course of the last 9 months. China has dealt with outbreaks of this virus at every turn and pass throughout the, I guess, post-pandemic world since March of last year. China has been dealing with it. China has been sweeping it under the rug. They have not been honest or forthcoming with their numbers. Hell, they've probably stopped testing, at least officially reporting their testing numbers. They're obviously keeping track of their pandemic numbers, but they're more than likely not releasing it. That's how they're able to lock down these cities. That's how they're able to. There was an airport that got locked down. I think that was Beijing airport that got locked down. And they had all the people in like the basement and they were testing them and they wouldn't let them leave. But this person is saying, well, this resembles new normal. China's economy is the only economy that's grown since, over the past year, since the pandemic. And they're forecasting that China's economy will surpass the United States in 2028. Here we go. Look at this. The pandemic has upended many perceptions, including ideas about freedom. Citizens of China don't have freedom of speech, freedom of worship, or freedom from fear. Notice all these basic rights that we have in the U.S. Freedom of worship, so you don't be persecuted for what you worship. Freedom from fear. Freedom of speech, fundamental to criticizing your government. 3 of the 4 freedoms articulated by President Roosevelt, but they have the freedom to move around and lead a normal day-to-day life. And that's because of the inappropriate response of the U.S. politicians, especially in the blue states in the U.S. For instance, if you go to Florida, North Dakota, you can move around freely. In other states, you can't. Now, they're not going to mention that unless they want to talk badly about Florida or North Dakota. Is it North Dakota or is it South Dakota? It's one of the Dakotas. But they're not going to bring that up. And then they're not going to they'll bring up like For instance, nearly half of the voting Americans supported a president who ignored science, but they are ignoring science right now by, for instance, the WHO, World Health Organization, since that is the trusted and main source of information that YouTube wanted to go along with, and said that you had to go along with that information early on. They've even come out and they've said that the lockdowns that were put in place are only supposed to be used as temporary measures in order for a country to get the resources and things that they need in place to be ordered to tackle the problem more precisely and with precision. Even the World Health Organization has come out and said that. The UN early on also said that these lockdowns would result in mass die-off due to starvation of people. I think they said 225 million people were expected to die over the course of the year because of the economic lockdowns and the inability to access food because of these lockdowns. But, they don't talk about these things. They don't talk about those things. Help experts recommend wearing masks, putting themselves and others in increased risk of infection, or that some Americans search that individual right. I mean, the mask thing, that has been shown that even that has not been agreed upon in terms of how effective it is. The masks do prevent others from getting sick. They don't prevent you from getting sick. That's been pretty much agreed upon. But in terms of the effectiveness of mask mandates and widespread use of masks, that has not been agreed upon by the scientific world. There was a study, I can't remember who put out the study, but they later retracted it when they found out that essentially they put it out when their initial data showed that the masks were effective at preventing the disease, the spread of the disease, and then retracted it when they realized that their methodology was not good, and in actuality it did not show any difference in terms of spread of the virus. Let's see, this person also says China's freedom of movement comes from its at the expense of nearly every other kind. The country is about the most surveilled in the world. The government took extreme social measures at the beginning of the outbreak, approach to keep people apart, approaches that are beyond the reach of democratic governments. Yeah, because, people have rights. You cannot do what China was doing, such as welding people's doors shut and keeping them inside, forcing them by gun essentially to stay inside. You can't do that in other countries, at least legally. There's no denying that China's success in containing the outbreak burnished Beijing's image, especially when compared with the failures of the United States. It has given currency to so-called China model and the Communist Party. And this is what I'm talking about. This person is basically saying this model works. We should approach and take this model. We should essentially do this. The model works. China's way of doing things works at the expense of every other freedom that you could possibly have. In terms of keeping you safe, they're able to keep you safe. But, there is a famous quote, Benjamin Franklin, people who choose safety over freedom deserve neither. And on the topic of China's economy, China has engaged in currency manipulation, which I'm sure many countries do, but they've also defaulted on many of their loans. And they're currently in a trade war with Australia over coal, which has resulted in many blackouts across the Chinese state, I guess you would say. So I don't know why or what the point. Well, I know what the point of this is. It's just basically China. Basically, China is doing everything right. They want to showcase the Chinese authoritarianism as the way to go. This person, Lin Wan, I wouldn't be surprised if she is part of the leak name list of individuals who are members of the Chinese Communist Party that have gone to different countries. And specifically, I believe this was in the U.S. They said that this was post-millennial. This one is the post-millennial, but it came from Sky News Australia, where it was showcasing that there is 2 million CCP members have been exposed, and they're working all over the world. So wouldn't be surprised if she ends up having ties to that. But yeah, so that's your American news media loving authoritarianism and advocating for its implementation into the U.S. So there you go. All right, guys, I'm out. This is DJ from the Culture War. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Comment. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if you feel I'm getting better at explaining different things, explaining my viewpoints on said topics, showcasing articles and links that back up what I'm saying, and I'm not just ranting into the microphone. I'm actually trying to showcase different things. So tell me if I need to get better, what I need to work on. Again, we're a young channel, and I would appreciate the not only support, but just the constructive criticism, so I can try to do this better and try to get better. Thank you again. Appreciate it. Like I said, this has been DJ from the Culture War, and I'm out. Peace.